right. I absolutely hate to break up good conversation, and I hear it happening all over the room. However, I know we have a lot of material left to get to, so let me pull you back toward the front, back to your seats, so we can kind of continue on. All right, so I need a show of hands. How many people have not yet voted for best breakfast this morning? Now be honest, it's okay, no one will berate you. Get on it! Okay. Are there any other things we know? You know, one of the things that I just mentioned to someone who had walked in and is participating this morning, and I forgot to mention it earlier, is that you will get an email from me following up this session with links to all of this material. You'll get the PowerPoints, you're going to get links to the video, we're going to publish the the comparative index I talked about, or matrix I talked about. So there should be a lot of data following up this session, you know, the schedule for the webinars, all that. So don't feel like, wow, if I don't walk out of here with it in my hands, I don't have it. Not true, I'll make sure you get it, okay? Please follow up on that email to me. Reach out if you don't introduce yourself here, definitely do it over email. I'd love to sit down and have coffee, that kind of thing. So get you regularly involved and so on and so forth. So this is a great place to be. I hope you guys, if you're new, I hope you come back. All right, without further ado, I want to introduce Lance Walter, who is a VP at Pentaho, and he is going to be up next in our presentation. So Lance, thank you.
Thanks a lot, Jeff. Good morning, everybody. Thanks very much for your time and attention today. So we're going to take the next 12 minutes to tell you just a little bit about Pentaho in the context of achieving return on investment with business intelligence. I did want to briefly introduce the company. I am in a somewhat different spot than my peers at Microsoft and IBM and such, and I know there are people in the room who haven't heard of us before. We've been around for about 5 years. I joined the company 4 years ago. Prior to that was Vice President of Product Marketing for Business Objects. And prior to that, over about the last 15 years, I've been around BI and data warehousing in technical and marketing roles at Siebel Systems, at Hyperion, at Oracle as well. So we were founded as the pioneer in commercial open source business intelligence. And just real quick, show of hands, how many people have at least vague familiarity with open source? Okay, very good. All right. That'll save me a couple minutes off my 12. We'll be done in 10 here. So what we really did was bring together a team of people who have a lot of passion for and experience in business intelligence and data warehousing. Veterans across every function, folks who have worked at SAS Institute, Cognos, Business Objects, Oracle, etc., along with people who had experience in commercial open source. People who had worked at companies like Red Hat and JBoss and MySQL, companies that built really outstanding open source communities and very, very robust commercial businesses by really delivering that value, that return on investment to customers through a commercial open source model. Recognized for a lot of different awards. We're most happy when our customers win an award. This slide's slightly out of date. We just on Thursday won InfoWorld's Best Open Source BI Suite Award, so that was good. So talking a little bit about return on investment, I think we've got a real good sample of presentations here, because while everybody's hitting some common themes, everybody's coming at it from a slightly different angle. So my angle is to talk to you a little bit about return on investment from the notion of, really with a little bit focused on the investment side of things. A big part of what Pentaho does, among other things, we're not going to drill on products, but a big part of what we do is really minimize that investment that's required from a tools and technology perspective to be successful with BI. But I want to preface that by talking about what makes for BI success. And I'm going to actually pick up where Jeff left off earlier. There are a lot of things that go into BI success. Actually, Mark Madsen from the Data Warehouse Institute actually sent this to me in an email, and I thought it was pretty useful. I've never managed a BI implementation end-to-end by myself, but I've certainly worked with a lot of customers who've been through that process, worked with a lot of experienced consultants like the experts at Capstone to learn more about it. And what you find behind BI success is a lot of common themes, probably a lot of things you guys talk about at the IT Roundtable, right, in terms of partnership between business and IT, clear understanding of requirements, not underestimating the challenges associated with getting the data infrastructure right, a lot of these kinds of things. Well, I guess my point to you is that while there are differences between all these tools, and there are some very unique things that Pentaho can do that you can see in the demos on our website and such, I'm not here to tell you that a single shiny tool is going to be the single lever of success in your BI project. You can fail with absolutely any BI tool out there if you do these things wrong, and you can, and the market has proven, that you can succeed with many of the BI tools out there if you get these things right. And I'm not suggesting to ignore user requirements or any of those things. I'm saying go in with a very clear understanding of your user requirements. What frequently happens in sales engagements that we get into. And Pentaho's model is a little bit different from prior lives that I've worked in, where more than 90% of our sales conversations are inbound. People who are searching around on the web, they hit the website, they come to us to find out more about our solutions, versus a lot of big time outbound marketing, going to a ton of trade shows, those kinds of things. But one of the things that we've found that pops up in some of the conversations is, you start as an IT person trying to understand some of your user requirements, understand some of the technology implications associated with that. As you start to engage with vendors, what we frequently see is kind of this notion of requirements distortion, where it turns out that if the vendor gets to look at your request for proposal or have any input on it, that request for proposal starts to look more and more like their product set and their product list. And sometimes that's the vendor doing a good job being experienced and working with BI, saying, hey, here are some things you should think about. In some cases, that's just a matter of, hey, I'm competing with 2 other vendors. I've got to try and, as much as possible, influence the customer's requirements to line up best with my product set. The other concept that kind of goes into this is the notion of total cost of ownership with open source. Not a new argument, one that's been around since the very early days of Linux. Everybody said, Linux would never threaten Solaris because the TCO is so high and you're going to need 10 times as many admins. And we see this in real sales engagements. We had a customer sent us a spreadsheet that was prepared by another BI vendor. And one of the items in the spreadsheet that caught my attention was kind of a TCO case against Pentaho. In an older release of our reporting tool, you couldn't set the font for the page number on a report, which meant that technically that font didn't conform to that organization's standard set of corporate fonts. And the TCO case from the other vendor was that if you run 10 reports a week, maybe 100 reports a week, and those are 100 pages long, what you're going to have to do is have enough staff to go in and manually tweak every single HTML file every single week. They came out to 3.5 full-time equivalents required as extra expense just for going down the path with Pentaho because of this font issue. And these are the kinds of things that we see. So I would encourage you to sort of be wary of that. Talking a little bit about the model, it sounds like there's decent familiarity with open source, which is a good thing. We have this very significant community aspect to what we do. So our product set and the open source projects behind that cover reporting, both kind of ad hoc and pixel perfect reporting, interactive analysis, dashboards, data integration and ETL, as well as data mining. So there are kind of 5 key projects that comprise what Pentaho does, and Pentaho leads and sponsors those projects. So we run the roadmaps for those projects, we facilitate and enable the communities around those projects, we pay multiple developers on staff full-time for us to help build and evolve and advance those projects. And what this means to you as a customer, the benefit that you get, is that there is this continuous engine that's happening out there in the community. Our software is building on a real-time basis as we speak, providing the latest and greatest bug fixes out to the community, letting people test on any and all combination of platforms and such. Our community contributes new features. We manage all of those contributions. So in our last release, we got some very, very nice Flash-based charting capabilities that actually came from one of our systems integration partners out there in the field working with a customer, said, I can make Pentaho do something that it couldn't do before. And it's in their best interest to contribute that back to us such that we maintain it, we support it in production, we upgrade it in the next release, things of that nature. What we do as a commercial company then is take this engine of innovation and quality and testing and such and really make it